What's going on, everybody? Alain Gonzalez here, and you are listening to the Muscle Monsters Train Hard, Eat Big, Get Jacked podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be talking to Jason Maxwell. He runs jmaxfitness.com. He is the author of the DUP method and various other training programs. And get this, he is a rocket scientist. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, man, what's going on? I'm glad you could finally have a rocket scientist on your show. I was really missing it.
So a lot of people probably think we're joking, but why don't you tell us a little bit about your becoming of a rocket scientist?
Yeah, so when I was in school, in high school, we were doing these tests and they were showing, what you could be when you grow up. So I answered all the questions, and the number one thing on it was rocket scientist or aerospace engineer. So I was like, okay, I'll go do that. That sounds cool. Maybe I could be an astronaut. So I went to school for it, and I actually excelled at it, and I was the top 3 in my class, but I just wasn't loving it. And I found out the thing that I was really loving is what I was doing between classes. So napping. No, it was actually going to the gym, working out, and then writing about fitness on my blog. And I decided, I was like, okay, by the 4th year, if I still don't like it, I'll get the degree, but I'll pursue fitness and pursue my passion. So I was already a personal trainer at that time. So then I started training full-time after I got my degree, and I started really working on getting the word out online on my website. And here I am talking to you. Yeah, so I was personal training full-time, but I realized what I really loved and what I just really addicted to is hearing people get results. And just that feeling is like really powerful, and it brings a lot of happiness to me. So I moved 100% to online. So what we do now is I help guys, get jacked, build muscle, get that lean, aesthetic looking physique. But we do it in a way where we just use stuff that's only backed up by research or by other fitness professionals that I respect and admire. So people who are, digging down in the trenches, actually finding out what works. And what I do is I take and compile all of that and put it towards my programs to always make a program that is state of the art and works better than anything else out there. So sometimes you will show stuff that it's like, hey, this is kind of against what other people are preaching, but what we're finding is this is what's working best right now. So I kind of took a little bit of a scientific approach and just finding what works and applying it. So, as I like to say, getting jacked isn't rocket science. Yeah. So it's kind of funny because I got 2 injuries when I was playing football in high school. And that football was actually what got me into fitness in the first place. So, and lifting. So I have to credit everything I know just by that one little instance of getting hurt the very first time. So I had a shoulder injury, so I couldn't really do a lot of upper body stuff. So I started training my legs every workout that I went into the gym. And, at first it sucked, but what you're going to find is when you keep training your legs frequently, you're not going to really get sore after your workouts, which is awesome. You're not going to have to post that meme every time you go to the gym because, the next day. But then I ended up hurting my knee in football as well. And at that time, then I couldn't really train my legs unless I trained the leg that wasn't injured. So I only ever trained the one leg that was injured while I was rehabbing the other leg. And what happened is after I rehabbed the other leg, I went back and tested the strength on that leg, and the strength was matching within 5% of the leg that wasn't injured. But here's the crazy thing. I was training that leg that wasn't injured, and not training the injured leg for 3 months. So that's 3 months of extra training on one leg over the other. And yes, the one leg did grow more than the other, but I didn't lose any strength. In fact, I gained strength. I think part of it has to do with it's neurological. So your brain doesn't physically know. Part of strength is your brain doesn't know how to fire the muscles to their full potential. Or maybe it's not the fact of not knowing, but it's getting that connection to the muscle. And when you train the one leg, I guess the brain is putting that connection together again and saying, hey, we can put massive amounts of tension and strength through this leg, so let's do it through the other one as well. Because there's that saying that happens when the woman is driving her station wagon with her kids in the back, and she gets in a car accident, and the only way to get the kids out is to pick up the car. And we've all heard of it. She picks up the car, gets some kind of crazy strength. And I think what that story really shows is that your brain or your muscles are strong enough, but your brain just needs to figure out a way to put that connection together. Yeah. So what I found is if you really go hard over your legs and train them intelligently, you can build them up to a decent size so they're not skinny anymore, and then you just maintain that size in the legs. I find that's the best way to do it, because then you're not always dreading training your legs. You just dread training your legs for 3 months. And when you do that hard attack of the legs for those 3 months, you want to use the big legs formula. And the big legs formula is based basically on 4 things. Number 1 would be high frequency. So you want to be training your legs more than just once a week. It's really important to train your legs 2 to 4 times per week if you want them to grow. So that's super important. The second thing you want to do is you want to train them in all rep ranges. And when I say all rep ranges, they could be all the way from sets of 3 to 50. So you really want to be hitting them in all those different rep ranges, because then you get your type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, as well as developing strength. And when you're stronger in the legs, you can lift more weight. So it's all about that overload, just like building any other muscle. Next is we want to have high volume. And the good news is with high volume or with high frequency, you automatically have high volume. So high volume would be lots of sets and lots of reps throughout the week. And that just comes naturally. And the last one is you really need to have single legs training in your program. Because I find that when you're training one leg at a time, especially from the injury I had, you can really put way more tension into the muscle because you're just loading that one leg as opposed to spreading out over 2 legs. And then when you do go to training bilaterally, like squats again, you have the strength in each leg, and it actually will help you develop your squats more too. Sure. One thing that I like doing, especially if you're going into a pure specialization phase, is you have one day with lower reps, one day in the middle, and one day with higher reps. So the lower rep day, you could attack between reps of 3 to 8, I like. And what you're going to, that day achieves is it achieves a lot of strength in the leg, but it also achieves a lot of muscular tension, which is so important for building muscle. And the strength that you build is going to actually help you on the other days as well. So let's say you have another day, and I like to do reps between reps of 8 to 12. And on that day, what I'll also do is I'll like to add at the end of, on the last set of squats or Bulgarian split squats, I like to add drop sets or rest pauses. And sometimes on the lower rep days, I'll add rest pauses or AMRAP sets, which is as many reps as possible on your last set, which is a lot of fun. And that 8 to 12 rep day, that's really you are going to obviously get some muscular tension, but you're also going to get more of a pump for the metabolic stress. And then the muscle damage is going to happen from your intensity technique at the end. So the drop sets or the rest pause. And then the high rep day, I like to do main sets of anywhere between 12 and 15 or 15 to 20. But then I like to have on the very last set of the day, a Widowmaker. So Widowmaker is something I got from Dante Trudell, who did DC training. And what it essentially is you pick an exercise and you put on like a 20 rep max, maybe even a 15 rep max, and you should go as hard as you can and do as many reps as you can for that set. I personally like doing it on a hack squat machine, Bulgarian split squats, believe it or not, which is a Widowmaker on the Bulgarian split squats is going to be the toughest thing you ever do in your life. Major puke fest. And I like that for back squats as well. And what that does is it allows you to hit maybe a set of 50. And what you end up doing near the end is you end up doing 3 reps, just take a few breaths, get another rep, take a few breaths, just rep by rep by rep until you physically cannot do anymore, and then you're done. So you know why it's called a Widowmaker. For the main part, I actually think for your best big leg exercise, I actually advocate Bulgarian split squats.
Okay.
Over squats. And if you a lot of people, what they do is they do their squats as their main exercise, and then they do the Bulgarian split squats as their assistance exercise. I say turn that around. Do your Bulgarian split squats as your main exercise, and then do your assistance exercise as your squats. And what that ends up doing is, well, I think you can add a lot more tension into each leg, and you can really load that leg up. And that's why I like Bulgarian split squats. But like all exercises, it does take some practice, especially with a little bit of the coordination. And that's why people don't think it's as great of an exercise, is because they can't load it up with a lot of weight. But after you get good at it, you can load it up just like any other exercise, just like squats, just like deadlifts. You can load it up a ton. I think every guy's goal should be to be able to do their body weight in Bulgarian split squats for at least 3 reps on each leg. That should be a minimum goal. When you can do that, you will have big legs. I guarantee it. But going back to your original question, on the metabolic stress days, I actually like to get a bit of a pump in the hamstrings first before doing my Bulgarian split squats or my squats. And this is something I picked up from John Meadows, who is I think he's a really smart bodybuilder, and he knows how to build muscle. And I was reading him saying that when you pump up the hamstrings first, when you do go on to do your squats, it feels a lot better in the knees. And then I tried it with myself and tried it with my clients, and I realized, it feels just way better to have. It's almost like having a cushion between your knees every time you go down to squat, and it makes it feel like the exercise is safer. But I also like how you're getting some hamstring work, and because the leg isn't just the quads, it's the hamstring as well. And if you see a guy with huge legs and his hamstrings are the same size of his quads, those are some legs to admire, I think, personally. Sure. So if you're a dead-on beginner, I would just say, start just practicing the exercises we talked about. Practice your Bulgarian split squats. Practice your front and back squats. Practice just putting your legs through the movement and having great form and getting stronger. That's if you're a dead beginner. A lot of times people think when we train our legs, we only want to train once a week or else we're going to get overtrained. And that's not the case. But you do want to build up to a higher frequency and a higher volume. When you get started, I would start maybe do like 1 month of focusing more on between like 6 and 12 reps and training your legs 2 to 3 times per week. And one thing I didn't mention is I also really like bike sprints at the end of your workout, and that really adds a pump into the legs as well. So you could just do that at the end of your workout. And then I would focus on a phase where it's more lower rep and strength based, where you can start building a lot of strength in the legs, training them 2 to 3 times per week. And then I like going on to a true specialization phase after that, because you want to work up to the specialization phase. So the specialization phase means you're really throughout your training week, you're training, between 3 and 50 reps, as I was saying, doing all those exercises, having a day for each one, and then having a maintenance day for the rest of your body, obviously, so you don't lose any size anywhere else, and then you can really focus on developing those legs. Cool. Yeah. So definitely my website, jmaxfitness.com, like you already mentioned. My Facebook page, which is facebook.com/jmaxfitness. Instagram, same handle, jmaxfitness. Same with YouTube, same handle, jmaxfitness. Instagram page, just opened it up, so it's not huge yet. It's funny, my Facebook page is like over 25,000 people, and then my Instagram page is like 60 people, but I'd appreciate some love everywhere.
For sure. And so for everybody listening, I'm going to link all of those accounts on the show notes page. And that's going to be at musclemonsters.com/EP15. That's EP and the number 15. Also, Jason was kind enough to hook us up with a free gift, which I'm also going to link in the show notes page. It's a guide on how to gain 10 pounds of muscle completely free. Just go to the show notes page, click that link, just plug in your name and email address, and you're going to get instant access to that. Again, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk soon.